What would have happened to Frozen's story if a single decision had gone differently? And where would Kristoff fit into this new scenario? Let's dive into how this alternate ending could completely change the fate of Arendelle and the characters we know so well. It all starts at that pivotal moment in the movie, when Anna asks Elsa for her blessing to marry Hans. In the original, Elsa immediately shuts her down with, "You can't marry someone you just met." But what if in that moment she had said yes? What if Elsa had simply gone along with the wedding? From that point on, the timeline takes a drastic turn. With the Queen's approval, there'd be no argument. Elsa wouldn't be thrown off balance. Her powers wouldn't be exposed in public, and she'd likely remain in the castle, keeping her secret hidden. Coronation Ball would have gone on without a hitch, and on the surface, the bond between the sisters would appear intact. Not long after, Anna and Hans would officially get married, with a huge celebration across the kingdom. And that's where things would start to take a very different path, especially for Kristoff, who might never cross paths with Anna, nor get his moment to shine on that snowy mountain journey. Without Elsa's escape, without Arendelle freezing over, and without Anna's desperate mission to find her sister, Kristoff would probably go on living his quiet life as an ice seller, completely on the sidelines of the main story. And Hans? With Elsa still vulnerable and without allies, he'd have a clear path to put his plans into motion, now as the royal consort. That one small decision could open the door to a much more political, quiet, and manipulative plotline. Elsa, isolated in her own insecurities, might not see the danger coming until it's too late. Anna, blinded by the fantasy of romance, could find herself trapped in a marriage that would soon reveal its true nature. In other words, by avoiding immediate conflict, Arendelle would fall into a different kind of threat, a betrayal built in silence, without the rush of adventure but with far deeper consequences. And we already know, Hans would do whatever it takes to claim the throne of Arendelle, even if it meant killing both sisters. But maybe he wouldn't need to move so fast in this alternate timeline. With the marriage approved and the throne within reach, Hans could take a more strategic route. Keeping Anna alive, at least for a while, would be convenient. After all, she'd be completely swept up in the fairy tale she thought she was living, blind to the danger right beside her. The real problem? That perfect prince facade wouldn't last long. Hans's charm and likability were nothing but a mask. He and Anna never had a real connection, and the song Love is an Open Door makes that painfully clear. While Anna sings with stars in her eyes, seeing the door as a symbol of freedom, love, and a fresh start, Hans sees that same door as a chance to rise in power. Two completely different perspectives on the same gesture. Two worlds that, in reality, were never aligned. Over time, Hans's true self would start to show. And honestly, he might not even need to hide it for long. One possible plan? Wait until he has a child with Anna. A legitimate heir with royal blood would seal his position permanently. That way, he wouldn't just control Arendelle, he'd eliminate any future challenge to his claim to the throne. And what about Elsa? Well, Hans is clever. He'd notice her isolation, her emotional fragility. Given time and motivation, he'd start digging into the reason behind it. Sooner or later, Elsa's ice powers would be revealed, maybe by accident, maybe during a moment of emotional crisis. Without Anna there to protect and support her, Elsa would be more alone than ever. And loneliness is exactly what triggers her powers to spiral out of control. Hans would know this. He wouldn't strike right away. He'd wait for the perfect opportunity. But just like in the original movie, where he tries to kill Elsa without hesitation in front of everyone, here too, he wouldn't think twice about getting rid of her. The difference? In this version, the attack would be far more calculated and probably far more effective. In other words, what seems like an innocent yes to a wedding proposal might actually be the beginning of the end. And what about Kristoff? In this alternate scenario, he pretty much disappears from the narrative. Without Arendelle freezing over, there's no chaos, no Elsa fleeing, and no desperate journey from Anna to save the kingdom, which means there's no reason for her to ever cross paths with Kristoff in the mountains. He'd go on living his quiet life with Sven, his sled, and his blocks of ice. A solitary worker, far removed from royalty, who might never realize how close he once came to changing everything. Because without that icy quest, they would have never truly met. And even if, by some coincidence, they did cross paths one day, there'd be no romance. Kristoff is respectful, loyal, and grounded. That's clear in the movie when the trolls, super excited to push the two together, start singing about marriage, and Kristoff immediately says, "She's with someone else." He would never try to pursue Anna while she was married, even if her relationship with Hans started to fall apart. And unlike Hans, Kristoff wouldn't see Anna as a stepping stone. He'd fall in love with the person, not the princess. So in this alternate ending, the romance between them simply wouldn't happen. The snow-covered hero who saved Anna, fought off wolves, climbed mountains, and risked it all for her. Here, he'd just be another unknown face among the ice sellers. A golden-hearted character, quietly erased by a choice that seemed harmless at first. Now back to Hans. Let's be honest. It's hard to say he would have been a completely incompetent king. In the original movie, we actually see that he has a knack for leadership, even if it's driven by ambition. When Anna goes off to find Elsa, it's Hans who takes temporary control of the kingdom. And, truth be told, he does a pretty decent job. He looks after the people, manages resources, and presents himself as a responsible ruler. Sure, it was all an act, but it worked. And with the marriage officially in place, Hans would gain even more public approval. After all, he'd be married to a local princess, which would make his presence on the throne feel more legitimate to the citizens of Arendelle. If he decided to move against Elsa, or even Anna, it's unlikely anyone would suspect him right away. He'd know how to twist the story, control the narrative, and play the part of the hero. But too much power for too long always reveals true character. If Hans started showing authoritarian tendencies, the public's trust might begin to crack. And if Anna realized what was happening and tried to stand against him, he wouldn't hesitate to push her aside. Literally, the same man who tried to kill Elsa without remorse wouldn't think twice about removing Anna if she became a threat. In the end, she'd be living a lie, married to someone who never loved her, trapped in a relationship with zero real connection, held together only by appearances. Maybe it would take her a while to realize it, but she eventually would. And when that moment came, the fairy tale castle would feel more like a golden prison. This tragedy wouldn't be loud. It would be subtle, slow, silent. Elsa, isolated, would eventually be found out and most likely eliminated. Anna, deceived and disillusioned, would be cast aside or worse. And Hans, with a royal heir in his arms and the crown on his head, he'd finally get what he always wanted: to rule alone, but at the cost of two sisters who only ever wanted one thing: love, freedom, and a safe place to exist. Sad? Definitely. But that's exactly what makes this alternate universe so compelling. And what about you? What do you think would have happened in this version of the story? Do you agree with this theory? Or do you have an even crazier one? Drop it in the comments. If you like this analysis, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. There's plenty more coming your way.